An amazing fight card ruined by main event controversy. It seems to happen all too often these days. UFC Fight Night Seattle, Cejudo versus Yadong just took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, starting with the early prelim opener of Modestas Bukauskas versus Raffael Cerqueira. I picked Modestas to win. I saw Raffael Cerqueira and the way he handled being hit hard in his UFC debut by covering up against the cage and allowing himself to be TKO'd. And I thought, this guy is not built for this. I'm going to go with Modestas Bukauskas to get him out of there. And Modestas did. He went out there, put him away, got caught early on with some big shots, but he stayed composed. I think you saw a massive experience difference. Modestas has lost before. He's been in scraps before. He's been finished by TKO before. Raffael Cerqueira, when he gets hit like that, it seems like it's the first time he's ever been hit in those circumstances. You saw that in his debut against Ibo Aslan. And then Modestas caught him with a beautiful overhand left, I think it was. Clipped him right on the chin with it. Big looping shot. Wobbled him badly, and then you see it in Cerqueira's eyes. Oh, shit. Brings up the high and tight guard, covers up against the cage. Modestas finishes him off, flattens him out cold against the cage as well. Slumped in the corner. Really good win for Modestas Bukauskas. Didn't get a performance bonus. I get it. There were much better finishes on the card. On any other card, a lot of these would have got performance bonuses, but there were just so many great finishes on the prelims especially. Really good win for Modestas Bukauskas. Good to see him get some momentum together. We move on. Nursulton Ruziboev versus McConico. I went with Nursulton Ruziboev by finish in round 2. He ended up getting a finish in round 2 very early on into the round. Round 1 was pretty close. He had some moments where he would hurt McConico and catch him with some decent shots, and they were just going a little bit tit for tat in a very slow first round, in all honesty. And then he wobbled McConico very bad in the second. Stung him with a straight shot down the pipe that barely glanced McConico on the chin, but it just wobbled him badly. Ended up stumbling over to the left, popping back up, getting put down again. Really nice finish from Nursulton Ruziboev. Very expected. I was very shocked by how close the odds were in this fight. McConico should never have been in the UFC. He's not good enough to be here. Why is he here? Sorry, no offense, but start checking these guys if they're actually good at fighting before you just sign them up to get into the UFC. Very good win by Nursulton Ruziboev. Was going to happen 100 out of 100 times. We move on. Nikolay Veretennikov versus Austin Vanderford. Austin Vanderford surprised me, to be honest with you. He went out there. Nikolay Veretennikov has given problems to a lot of good fighters in the UFC. Danny Barlow, he went to a very close decision with him, and Danny Barlow's touted as this prospect to watch out for. So I thought Nikolay Veretennikov would do a little bit better, but he just got overpowered. In the grappling, he got overpowered. He got taken down, held there in full guard basically for a large portion of it, while Austin Vanderford just punched away at him. Very frustrating to watch, and definitely frustrating for Nikolay Veretennikov. Got finished in the second round by TKO. Vanderford had full guard, far side wrist control round his back, landing big punches over and over again. Veretennikov was so mad. After the fight was over, he walked up to Vanderford behind him and pushed him in the back without him knowing. So I don't know if he's going to be around the UFC for much longer. Dana White apparently said it's fine because he doesn't want to make a big deal out of it. But dude, you're Owen. You ain't won in the UFC yet. That's 2 losses, you know? You're probably not going to get re-signed after this one, pal. I'm just going to keep it real with you. I don't know if they keep this guy on in the UFC, in all honesty. Very good win from Vanderford, though. We'll see what he can do in his own career. We move on. Ricky Simone versus Javid Basharat. Wow. This one must have got a performance bonus. Must have done. Nasty flatline KO from Ricky Simone over Javid Basharat. I didn't see this coming. I thought Javid would win. I thought Ricky Simone has actually looked very bad in his last few fights. Like he's sort of tapering off in terms of how good he's getting and how much he can compete with the top of the division. But he put out Javid Basharat badly. Put him out badly in round 1. Couple takedowns failed early on. He got 1 takedown. Javid would work his way back up and sort of tit-for-tat strike with him on the feet at range with his kicks and his flicky shots. The problem is with Javid Basharat is he's not dangerous, you know? He's dynamic. He'll spinning attack now and again. He can have moves that will get attention from you. But there's no danger in what he does. He flicks everything at you, moves around on the outside. So it's like, I don't know, there's nothing to fear. So Ricky Simone just sort of pushed forward at a certain point and thought, okay, there's my shot. All right, I'm going to go for a lead hook straight right. puts down Javid Basharat out cold in the first round. Brutal KO loss for Javid Basharat. And to be fair, I didn't think Ricky Simón would be the one to do it, but Javid does stick his chin way up in the air. And the only way I can describe this is Javid Basharat's built like a Khajiit on Skyrim. His head is way too big for his body. And when you're that, like, I don't want to say soy built, but when you're not yoked with a big frame and you got that little, like, he's built like a bobblehead guy. It's a problem when you got that big of a head on such limp structure underneath it. You get toppled over badly if a good shot lands on it. So really clean work from Ricky Simón. Puts out Javid in the first round. Gets a bonus for himself. Keeps his career probably as well. Huge win from him. Javid's done, huh? I thought he was going to be a great prospect at bantamweight that would eventually be ranked and maybe lose to a ranked opponent. But Ricky Simón stops him getting there in the first place with a nasty KO. We move on. Mansur Abdul-Malik versus Nick Klein. I went with Mansur Abdul-Malik. TKO in the first 2 rounds. I said under 7 minutes. I think I got it under 7 minutes. I'm not sure though. Did I get it? Maybe there was 3 minutes into the second round. I'm not sure. But he ended up going out there, getting out grappled early on. He does get out grappled, Mansur Abdul-Malik, but he keeps his composure. He stays patient. So there was Nick Klein, winning the total strike game and getting his takedowns off here and there, getting reversed as well. But, I will say this. He got finished at the end of the second, put down, beaten up, TKO'd, finished off. Mansur Abdul-Malik gets a TKO win. Why, Nick Klein, do you wobble Mansur Abdul-Malik badly with a spinning elbow to the face? And then you just shoot a fucking takedown on him and clinch with him up against a cage. Fighters do that so often, and I'll never understand why they do it. I'll never understand it. We'll get to the fucking Julius versus Menifield fight in a second, but Jesus. It was, I don't know why fighters do that. I will say this as well. Mansur Abdul-Malik, very good, undefeated prospect. 8-0. Thought he would win, picked him to win. I've never seen someone up in a fight. They showed the numbers. Nick Klein's up on numbers. He's got the takedowns. He's had control. I've never seen someone ahead in a fight that has looked like they have no control over a fight whatsoever. Nick Klein's stance from the get-go reeked of fear. I'm just going to be real. Reeked of fear. Absolute timidity, fear. The stance that he had was so heavy on his rear foot. He's like leaning over his back foot, like recoiled up, just as far away from Mansur Abdul-Malik as he could get while trying to shoot low entries on shots. I've never seen someone up in so many departments in a fight that looked like they were about to be finished at any moment. Like you'd think Mansur had just been beating the fuck out of him for 5 rounds, the way he was walking out there in round 1. But either way, Mansur wins, predicted it to happen, and he gets the job done. We move on. Andre Fili versus Melquizael Costa. Melquizael Costa outstrikes him. Fili goes for a takedown, sticks his head into a guillotine in Big 2025, stays there, doesn't do anything about it, lets the guillotine get cinched in, doesn't make any adjustment whatsoever, and taps. Big 2025. We're sticking our head into guillotines on takedowns, leaving it there, not trying to pass over the legs, not trying any level of scramble, not fighting the hands, just sticking your head in a guillotine and losing. Interesting watch. Melquizael was looking good before that, though, so I don't think this is the reason he lost, but very interesting to see Fili, a veteran of the sport, who's been around for so long. Maybe it's because he's been around for so long. He's still got those old tendencies of being able to lose by guillotine. But man, sticking your head in a guillotine like that on the outside of a takedown, not passing over the legs and making no adjustment about it and just letting it get cinched up on you. Interesting decision making. Great win by Melquizael Costa. I didn't see it coming, but yeah, interesting to see from Andre Fili. We move on. Ion Cutelaba versus Ibo Aslan. I picked Ibo Aslan. I think a lot of people did. He's very good, very powerful, very dangerous. But Cutelaba's just, you ain't ready for war unless you've gone in there with Ion Cutelaba. He's speaking English on the mic. He's saying, "I don't fucking care." And the whole crowd is cheering. I love to see the crowd embrace Ion Cutelaba's energy in the post-fight interview. The run starts now. He's coming into his prime. You saw the peak of Cutelaba here tonight. 19-10. In the UFC, that record is. Okay? Different level stuff than Ibo Aslan's. Basically, Ibo caught him early, wobbled him, rocked him a little bit, looked like he had him in a little bit of danger, and landed some really good shots on him. But Cutelaba stayed patient, winged some shots back, got his takedowns where he needed them. Looked like he wobbled Ibo Aslan himself at one point, but maybe Ibo was a little bit off balance as well. But he used that to his advantage, took dominant position, got the back, landed some good shots on top first, then he got the back, and then while he was like falling off the back, he readjusted into like an arm triangle position, while Ibo Aslan tried to sort of squirm out from underneath him and ended up submitting him with an arm triangle in round 1. So that's tough for Turkish MMA because this is all they've ever had, and there was a massive, massive fan base behind Ibo Aslan. I mean, how many followers does he even have, Ibo Aslan? I'm pretty sure it's something ridiculous. Because Turkey's a big country and they're growing in terms of population. He's got 420,000 followers. His post on the face-off has 136,000 likes. That's probably got millions of views. And he's just been fucking fraud checked in round 1 by Cutelaba. That's tough. But hey, Cutelaba gets it done again. 2-fight win streak for Cutelaba. First time since 2019, I believe, that he's had a 2-fight win streak. The momentum starts now. We move on. Alonzo Menifield versus Julius Walker. You know what? A lot of people are shitting on this fight, and I get it. It looked very low level in moments. But then I also got to take myself out of it and think they're light heavyweights. They're not the best of light heavyweights. This was actually a very fun fight, in my opinion. They were both cracking each other back and forth. Julius Walker non-stop attempting takedowns that just weren't working for him. Julius Walker had Alonzo Menifield rocked out on his feet, eyes googly and everything in round 1, shoots in for a takedown. I said it watching the fight live. I was like, oh my God, he's hurt. He's out of it. Oh, never mind. At least, nearly had a finish there. Wouldn't want that. I don't know why fighters shoot takedowns after rocking their opponent like that. You aren't Volk against Yair. That's not you. You're not that guy. Why do fighters do it all the time? They wobble someone to be completely defenseless on the feet, like in a finish him Mortal Kombat pose, just waiting to be fucking hit with a combo. And you're shooting in, and they're just autopilot underhooking their way back into a fight. It's so much easier to autopilot fighting over-under position up against a cage than it is to fucking defend against a fucking UFC fighter that's striking against them while they're unconscious standing in round 1. Menifield wobbled Julius Walker back in moments as well. They both were cracking each other back and forth. Walker was keeping up on the output, but it looked like Menifield was landing the better shots. I thought he won the first round back for himself after getting hurt in the first. I thought he did a lot of good work and did a good job rocking Julius Walker in many moments towards the later end of the first round. Round 2, I thought he maybe landed a better damaging shots. 3 can go to Julius Walker. Honestly, this fight could have gone to Julius Walker. But they went with Menifield. Pretty dumb decision-making from both, but a very fun fight between the pair of them. I thought Julius Walker looked pretty good. On a full camp, not against number 15 in the world in his debut. If he had a different trajectory of his career, where he would have gone through the Contender Series and then fought 2 or 3 guys and then got a Menifield when he was like 10-0, he probably would be a legitimate prospect. And maybe he still can be, but hell of a chin from him anyway. Menifield hits very hard. We know that, and he cracked him a lot, and Walker just took a lot of it, so... yeah, great scrap between the pair of them. Pretty low level, but hey, they're light heavyweights. It is what it is. Gene Silva versus Melsik Baghdasaryan. Gene Silva, where do I begin? It is remarkable to me how he has been able to consistently have this playful energy in an MMA fight and have it not backfire on him. He's touching gloves, he's laughing and then weaving out the way. It's... at any moment, I'm thinking, dude, you could just get clipped on that chin while you rear back like that. And then all this fun and games is over. Before Gene Silva got the KO, when he was touching gloves with Melsik and laughing around with him, I was literally saying, it's all funny when you're doing all this shit when you win. But if you lose, it's going to be embarrassing if you've done all this like goofy stuff. Then he just sleeps Melsik as if it's a decision for him. You know? He literally had a moment where he was like, we've had our fun. Hey, and just put down Melsik Baghdasaryan. Looked at the ref afterwards with pity for Melsik on the ground. who still looked somewhat in it, but I get the body language wasn't looking good. But he was still like, he wasn't out cold on the ground. You know what I mean? So I get why the referee let it go. But Gene's just like gesturing to him and looking over at the ref like, come on, man. What do you want me to do to this poor man? He's just walking over to him like, come on. Then he just lunges on him. Bam, bam. Elbows to the side of the body to finish the fight. He thinks differently. Gene Silva thinks differently than any other fighter. Aura needs to be on the tail of the tape. Chromosome levels need to be on the tail of the tape. Autism, wherever you are on the spectrum, we got to start putting it on the tail of the tape. It's very obvious, increasingly as time goes on, these are absolutely factors that determine how good you are at fighting. Are you autistic? You know what I mean? How many chromies you got? You know what I mean? How much? Have you got any aura? How many TikTok edits can be made of you? I've never seen someone be able to pull this off so consistently like Gene Silva. Normally there's a dud, right? Normally a guy comes along, they have all these types of fights, and then all of a sudden a shitty fight happens and they lose a bit of steam, and then another one, and then maybe they lose. But if they win, not everything is this fun. He comes in with aura against Weston Wilson, autistic aura. Finishes him in round 1, brutal finish, nasty win. Charles Jourdain, same thing, whilst doing his whole playful game. Drew Dober, same thing. He's laughing. 2 broken hands in that fight, landing spinning elbows and shit. Now he's just done the same thing to Melsik Baghdasaryan, who's very technically good at fighting. Just puts him away. Finishes him. Remarkable stuff from Gene Silva. I don't know how he keeps doing it. Calls out Bryce Mitchell. I love the Bryce Mitchell fight for him. Love the Bryce Mitchell fight. So let's make it happen. That's what he needs to do. We move on. Rob Font versus Gene Matsumoto. This is an interesting one because, you know what? It wasn't a robbery. And a lot of people are going to say that it was. And I'll tell you why they're going to say it was a robbery. Because people are conditioned to score fights where a caucus fighter is involved. And what they do is, when a caucus fighter is involved, they change the way they score fights. And the UFC judges do this too. I'm going to keep it 100% real with you. No fucking chance in a million years Rob Font gets scored that first round if Gene Matsumoto is a Dagestani guy with some level of hype. That's just the truth. I don't think it was a robbery. Damage-based scoring. Font did more damage in round 1, landed a ton of shots early in that round. Landed more in every round. I thought he won the third or the second, whatever it was. I think it was 1-1 going into the third. Third was pretty close. He cut open Gene Matsumoto in the third. I gave him the third. I gave Gene the second. Gene was landing good low kicks in the second as well. I'm telling you this right now. In round 1, it was a split decision here. It went to Rob Font. I'm telling you, if Gene Matsumoto was called Gene-Ev Matsumotov, they score that first round to him. It's just the truth. And it's an uncomfortable truth of MMA. We can talk about the fight in general beyond the decision, but if a Dagestani or a Caucasus guy like Merab was getting those types of takedowns on Rob Font at the end of the first and getting that type of positional control, they're getting rounds given to him off of that. Even while being outstruck, they're getting rounds given to him. So I think it's not like a robbery because it's the way you're supposed to score fights. But people have been warped to be like, well, that's not how they scored that fight. So people don't know. We don't know how to score fights. I don't know. It seems to change based on who's doing what. In all honesty, it really does. So Font won. Started very fast. A little bit of a fake glove touch it looked like, but who cares? Started swinging early on Gene Matsumoto. Landing really good shots as well. Gene was landing low kicks on the outside. Trying to keep somewhat busy in the clinch, but really just kind of holding on Font, trying to drag him down, and Font would escape position and get back up and get taken down again. It wasn't really that he was doing too much damage. He just had a lot of dominant positions over him. It's actually a very impressive Gene Matsumoto. I've watched his previous fights. He's looked nothing like that on the feet before. He looked dog shit on the feet in every other fight he's had. But in this fight, he looked pretty good. So I rate him for it. If he wasn't cut open in the third, it probably would have been a more competitive round as well. But Rob Font gritted down and pushed where he needed to. There was a lot of urgency in Rob Font. A ton of urgency in Rob Font in this fight. It almost like he picked up where Cater left off in round 3 against Zalal. He just started out. As soon as they got separation from the grappling, he just pushed. I'm going to break you. And that uppercut he was loading up, I swear, if that landed, it would have taken Gene Matsumoto's head off. But, hey, that's the fight. We move on. Brendan Allen versus Anthony Hernandez 2. The rematch. I went with Anthony Hernandez. I called this fight to a T. I said he's going to win it 29-28 based on the last 2 rounds because Brendan Allen is going to throw away dominant position and end up on bottom and end up scrambling in the most dumb way possible and constantly be underneath Anthony Hernandez, looking to come back up on a single leg or tucked up on his knee in the corner. First of all, there was a bunch of situations in this fight where Hernandez could have kneed Brendan Allen in the face legally and finished him with certain knees that he could have got off. Allen was a lot more effective when he did get dominant position. At the end of round 1, he did more than like Hernandez did the entire fight to him. Like he was just dominant with his back take and his ground and pound that he was going for and looking for choke attempts. Hernandez had a few of those as well, don't get me wrong, but he just didn't have as much time as Hernandez did in those positions. Rounds 2 and 3 were clearly Anthony Hernandez. Round 1 started looking pretty bad for Brendan Allen. Again, they're standing. He leaps for the back. He's landing great low kicks on the feet early on against this guy who can't strike. He gets into a clinch situation. Instead of thinking, this guy's only trying to grapple with me, I need to separate. He like leaps for the back. Like round Anthony Hernandez, leaps for the back take around the back of him. Falls off, obviously, because it's like wishful thinking. Falls off, ends up on bottom immediately into the fight. Brendan Allen is very talented. He's a very well-trained fighter. He's so fucking good at fighting. The guy is dumb, I think. He's just, and I said this building up, and you know what I even said? He's always stood there after a clear decision loss, thinking like he's going to get his hand raised and going, oh, come on. Really? They gave that to Hernandez? He actually had that expression on his face at the end of the fight. And I bet you anything, he'll be sitting there saying, I just think I won. They didn't give that to me? Like, what are they even scoring these days? And I bet you his coach is going to be like, yeah, Brendan, it's tough, isn't it? It's just one of those things, you know, the judges are going to see it either way. I feel like Brendan Allen isn't just dumb. I don't want to pile on to Brendan Allen. I think he's very good, and I think he can come back, and I think he would beat the majority of middleweights on the roster, including ranked ones. But I just think not only is he dumb, I can see him being a dangerous dumb, where you can't correct him type of dumb without some kind of rage-based outburst. I don't know if you know those ones. There's dumb people that are like, oh, he's dumb, but he's nice. You know what I mean? So he's cool. He's just a bit dumb. It's whatever. But then it's Brendan Allen dumb, where I feel like if a coach tried to say, what are you talking about? You lost the last 2 rounds. We needed dominant position. I don't. I clearly won. I just feel like he would lash out if someone tried to correct him on his opinion on something. You know what I mean? Or lecture him on how to improve. It is what it is. He's very good. He's very talented, very well trained. Anthony Hernandez is a hell of a gas tank. Pushed through in a lot of bad moments. A bunch of close rear naked choke attempts for the pair of them. Brendan Allen nearly had an arm triangle at one point in the first round as well. But yeah, just smarter scrambling decisions from Anthony Hernandez, who, quite simply, chose top position. Brendan Allen was A-okay to go for bottom position. At the end of the 3rd round, if Allen would have pushed for top position there, he probably could have got the round back for himself with enough effective work. There's about 2 minutes left, and they're in a 50-50. And Allen has the choice to, like, push for top position as much as he can, or, like, topple over and give up. He's laying on his back. End of round 3, goes to his back. Anthony Hernandez gets on top of him. It's like, man, you should never go to bottom position in MMA, ever. Not in the heavier weight classes. Never. But they keep doing it. They keep doing it. Anyway, Brendan Allen lost. Anthony Hernandez won. Good performance from him. Give him a top contender next. I don't know who. Jared Cannonier, maybe? That'd be a good one. We move on to the main event. Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong. This is the one people want to hear me talk about. So, I had Song Yadong winning the fight. Going into the eye poke. The eye poke is what people are going to want to talk about. I had some takes on it. Of course, I'm speaking in generalization. I'm saying, what a bitch Henry Cejudo is. What it is. But I'm going to give my nuanced take, because a lot of people were like listening to my take and going, someone was like, so you think eye poke should be legal then? Like, everyone was raging about it, because I get it. Song Yadong won a fight via eye poking Henry Cejudo, which is crazy to think about, but it did happen. I actually thought Song was up 3-0. I could have seen either round 1 or 2 going to Henry, though. At the end of round 2, Henry looked like he got a bit of blood out of Song Yudong's nose. I don't think he broke his nose, but he hit him in the nose hard. And a little bit of blood popped out, a little cut on the top of the nose of Song Yudong. So I thought, okay, close round. Henry did some good work in the last minute of round 2, but for the first 4, it looked like Song was in full control, digging to the body. Both guys low kicking each other. Looked like Song was checking a lot of them that Cejudo was going for. And it was landing his own as well. Was landing good body kicks, Song Yudong, a good stiff jab to the body here and there. He was landing good shots throughout, and he started to feel comfortable. And going into the third, I thought the third was a very good round for Song Yudong. Cejudo wasn't landing as good as he was at the end of the second. And Song was in control, and he was landing a lot of left hooks, and he was catching Cejudo over the top of Cejudo's jab with good shots as well. And he looked like he had like cage control back. Cejudo's whole mission was to push him backwards. And it looked like Song Yudong eventually in the third started getting like, okay, I'm landing better. I'm landing bigger. I can start walking this guy down now. The eye poke happens with a minute to go in the third round. Here's what everyone's going to want to talk about. First of all, before I even get into any of this, Olympic gold medalist in wrestling couldn't fucking get a takedown on Song Yudong. Tried 3 times. No double legs, DC. Just single legs Henry Cejudo was going for. Doesn't get a takedown on Song Yudong. Henry Cejudo is an Olympic gold medal. Henry Cejudo is an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. And I've never once considered the idea of him being able to take down an opponent in an MMA fight. In an MMA fight. Never once. In like a grappling only match where it's going to be a lot of grappling, I'll consider it, like against Aljo. But I'm telling you, put him against a pure striker, I'll have no doubt in my mind he will not score control time or a takedown. And it's so confusing, right? So confusing. Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. I've never once, other than like very specific grappler on grappler matchups, I've never been like, damn, I've got to watch out for the takedown of Cejudo though. Never once, which is crazy. But yeah, eye poke happened. My take on the eye poke. Should a fighter win a fight via an eye poke? No. Fighters shouldn't win a fight based on an eye poke. That should not be a thing. He did get eye poked. If he didn't get eye poked, it would be what it is. He did get eye poked in the eye. The finger clearly went in the eye. Both of them, but the other side didn't look like it digged in the way it did on Henry's left. He gets eye poked. Let me tell you this. Here's my take. I don't think Henry Cejudo couldn't see. Get the fight called off to an eye poke all you want. Fair enough. The eye poke happened. The fight was called off. Herzog made it go to the 4th round. And then they go to, we got to go to the 4th round. I got to start the 4th round so we can get to a scoring decision. So basically what they wanted is, what Herzog looked like he was doing is, let's avoid a no contest or a DQ. That's what it felt like Herzog was doing. I'm going to make my decision. I'm not having a DQ or a no contest. We're going to get to the 4th round, so 3 completed rounds are scored. Then we're going to go to a scorecard so we can actually have a winner in this main event. That's what Herzog was trying to do. Wrong or not, that's his decision that he made as a referee. Okay, Cejudo wants to continue. I've given him 5 minutes and he says he wants to continue, which immediately changed once the 4th round happened, which I get because the last minute of the third, he was just running away like, oh shit, I don't like this. And Song, by the way, when they restarted the 3rd round, fingers were like trying to give Henry PTSD. He immediately outstretched his fingers towards Henry at the end of the 3rd round. So Henry's backing up, riding out the end of the 3rd round. And I don't think the eye was the... I'm just going to give my honest take based on body language and understanding of humans in general and the way they talk and the way they act. I think Henry Cejudo got eye poked, felt it, it's an eye poke, and I think he started thinking, it's not going well for me. He was breathing so heavy on the stool between rounds. Henry was doing good, but he had to exert a ton more effort than Song Yudong to be doing good. Simple as that. He was puffing air on the stool in between rounds. At the end of round 1, he was breathing heavy. And he's older, 38. There's a lot of things to consider. So I honestly think if we did go into the 4th and 5th round, it would have been a beatdown from Song eventually. Like he would have started picking it up and beaten up on Cejudo a bit in the 4th and 5th. Obviously, I can't assume that, but still. It felt like Cejudo was considering, in his mind, when the eye poke happened, could this be a DQ? Could I go to the scorecards and get a 2-1 decision here if I did get the first 2 rounds? Because he started asking questions like that. Is there going to be a point taken away? Then he starts asking questions about the decision. And Herzog says openly, I'm going to let this go to a 4th, and then we're going to get the scorecards. Which is crazy, because let this go to the 4th. What if one of them would have got a finish at the end of the 3rd? So then Herzog's saying, we need to start the 4th round after they're on the corner, and Cejudo's over and over and again saying, I can't see, man. I can't see, man. And then Henry's corner man tells him, stop, Henry. You got to lock in. We got to grit down and get this right now. And Henry goes, fuck no, man. Fuck that. I need a doctor in here, man. And he starts, while saying he wants to, here's the thing. While saying he wants to continue, he has said the 3 key words that every referee will tell an MMA fighter not to say if they don't want a fight to be stopped. I can't see. I swear to God, Henry Cejudo said, I can't see anything. While one eye is absolutely fine, by the way, even if you are to believe the extent of the damage done to his other eye. He has said, I can't see, as loud as he possibly could. I want to say about 20 times, including the moment where the eye poke happened and the moment on the stool. Whilst wanting to continue in his mind. He wants to continue. He wants to fight on. I can't see, man. He keeps saying this. And I'm like, dude, he's lucky the fight didn't just get wrapped the first time he said that. You know what I mean? But then if that would have happened, it may have been a DQ or a no contest. So I personally think if you eye poke someone and you're behind on the scorecards and it ends with the fight stopping because of the eye poke, it should be a DQ. And the guy who got eye poked should win. If you're ahead on the scorecards and a fight stops to a foul or an injury, it should be a no contest. Obviously, they go to scorecard decision, whatever. It's a weird technicality. They did it for like Juan Espino versus Alexander Romanov. But still, it's tough because people want to just say, he got eye poked. Of course you would call it. And there's no nuance to their brain to have any level of intricacy of understanding of human body language. To me, and my opinion, it looked like, and maybe I'll find out, Henry Cejudo, cornea, abrasion, and all of this, and his eyes were wide open. No, like, playing with his eye or blinking frantically or not being able to open his eye. There was none of the I've seen eye pokes every card, every other fight on every other card for the past over a decade. Over a decade. More than a decade. Like 15 years of watching UFC. 15 years? Probably longer. I've seen eye pokes so many times. That was the least serious reaction to an eye poke I've ever seen. And it led to like the most finite result of the fight being stopped. I've seen Bilal Muhammad crumpled in in a ball on the ground, crying his eyes out. Can't open his eye, crying about it, covering it, trying to like pour at it, trying to pry his eye open. It won't open. You know what I mean? I've seen so many eye poking situations. Henry got eye poked, immediately gestured to the ref, and then went like this. And then after started stumbling a little bit, which is okay. His foot could have been funny and he was getting low kicked a lot. I get it. And then his eyes are open. Wide open. I'm just giving my take. Maybe, yes, eye poke shouldn't finish fights. I get it. I'm just giving my take on Henry Cejudo's mindset in that moment. I think Prime Cejudo just fights on and goes into the 4th and 5th. And you can say, oh, you can't say that. You don't know that. I get it, but I'm giving my take. I'm giving my opinion on it. I think Prime Cejudo grits through that. And keeps fighting. You know? I think he considered a lot of things and it backfired. I think he thought, I've got 2 rounds. Because when the scorecards were ready, he went, what? What? They gave him the win? What? Like he was confused at the fact Song Yadong had been given 2 of the rounds of the first 3. So in his mind, he thought he was up on the scorecards. Very important to note when he's being told that they're going to go to the scorecards if he can't continue. It's one of those ones, isn't it? I just think Cejudo, The eye poke was definitely a factor. I'm not saying he didn't have somewhat blurry vision. But I just think that there was other factors that ultimately led to his decision. I think he knew he was a little outmatched as the fight was going on. Just a little. He was breathing very heavy. He'd put a maximum amount of effort into that fight early on. You weren't getting none of his takedowns. He's older. I just think a multitude of other things went into him deciding not to continue beyond the eye. That's what I think. Maybe the eye was a factor, but it did just look like he took his opportunity to try and get a 2-1 decision given to him or to try and get a DQ. That's just what it felt like to me watching. I know I'm not a fighter and you would be, let me poke you in the eye and see how you feel. I get it. I watch a guy get eye poked every fucking fight card. Nearly every other fight there's an eye poke and the guy's there fucking eye closed trying to fucking pat at it while their eye blinks out of control and their eye's all jittery and they can't open their eye because it's so bad and they're crumpled up in a heap on the ground. And then I see Cejudo sitting there with both eyes open looking at the ref like this and going, I can't see anything, man. I can't see anything right now, guys. Eyes wide open. No, like, I know they were going at it with a towel here and there, and there was some redness in the eye. He got eye poked. It's just it felt like, and I'm going to say this right now, when Cejudo was talking, I'm just doing a whole body language breakdown because I love doing it. It felt like when Cejudo was talking, he wasn't having a genuine conversation pattern. He wasn't communicating authentically with the people around him, with the referee, with the coaches that he was with. I'm going to say it right now because I know how people are. He was communicating to the fan base when he was speaking. The way he was wording things was like, let me get the official narrative out on this. The way he was saying things and delivering, it felt like he was speaking to us. Like, hear this, you know? Let me make sure they hear at home. And I get it, but... And listen, I don't think people should win fights via eye pokes. Song Yadong did eye poke him. That's a dirty move, and it is controversial. I just saw in Henry Cejudo a man that considered other things. More than just my eyes blurry, and therefore I want the fight stopped. My honest opinion. I think Henry thought if he got to the 4th round and they did score the first 3, I think Henry thought he would win 2-1 on the scorecards. And that's what he went for. And it backfired because they gave 2 rounds to Song Yadong. And they were, it was very close first 2 rounds. I thought Song won the first and second, but I could see Henry winning the first and second. It was one of those types of fights. And then Song clearly won the third, which Derek clearly gave to Henry Cejudo because he's fucking retarded. But, yeah. It is what it is, man. That's my opinion. Hopefully I've broken that down enough. I had a lot of people, I'm trying to give a nuanced take, and people are like simplifying my opinion to beat it, which is really gay to do. But, I meant that in a good way as well. That was a compliment in the way that they do it. But either way, I don't know. I just felt like, I just see Henry's body language and the way he was talking. It looked like he was looking for a way out of the fight. That's all. Just going to give my honest opinion on what I saw. Never seen someone react so nonchalantly to I can't see out of this eye anymore. Wide open. Looking around like nothing's even happened to him. Yeah, man, I just can't see, man. It's all blurry, man. No sensitiveness. No, like, trying to pry your eye open and dig out of it and blink it out and try and get your vid. There was none of that from him. There was a little bit of it where he would hold it and then he would just walk around with his eyes open, sat down against the cage, smiling and laughing with his eyes wide open. It was just such a weird visual and a vibe that he gave. Maybe it's because he's so fucking cringe. Maybe Henry's that fucking cringe that I made up this whole body language analysis breakdown because the guy just don't act normally. That could honestly be a factor. I'm just saying what I saw. Terrible for the fight to end that way. I think Song Yadong would have won it anyway. He looked like he was starting to get his reads. His boxing was starting to come together in the later rounds. And it is what it is, though. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Toodle pip. I'll end it with this, though. Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. You can't take down Song Yadong. What are we doing? See you later. Goodbye. I will never understand it. Never understand it. And then DC thinks he can out-argue me on that. I was literally thinking, like, when's Cejudo going to fucking ragdoll him? This Olympian wrestler. Song Yadong's a fucking Chinese kid who loved to scrap and got into MMA. See you later. Goodbye. Yeah. Great card. Ended with controversy.